Hey everybody, and welcome back to another weekly episode of Vacuum Exposition. Today I am doing a very interesting machine, and we will get to that in a little bit. Either way, let's get on to today's exposition. Alright everybody, so we have an interesting one that we are looking at today. But before we get into that, I know that you will probably notice my surroundings are a bit different than what they normally are. I know we normally do it in the shop with our videos, but unfortunately I have been a little under the weather, so instead after work I grabbed one of these and headed back to my in-laws to film, just because it's a little bit warmer than the shop with the rainy cold months coming. So, but onto the vacuum. Now, what we are looking at here is a very hard to find. I won't say it's rare because they did make a decent amount of them, but they are not easy to find. But this is a 1969 Singer top speed vibrator brush upright, otherwise known as one of the A-frame uprights of the late 60s and early 70s into the late 70s. Now, this particular design started with the S series, and I'll show a picture of one of those right here. As you can see, it does look a bit different. Now, the reason being is the Singer vacuum cleaners were famous for having a twin fan design. So under this hood, there's a fan right here and a fan right there. Basically, to add to the suction. Now, this particular machine did have some really cool features. The U-43, this machine, was the more deluxe to the U-41, which I also have in my collection. But they both came out at around that same time, the late 60s era, this being in 1969. But this one featured not only the switch up here in the handle, but it also had a cord winder that came out the side of this box right here. It also had a high and a low height adjustment right here. We'll zoom in right there. So this was a pretty deluxe machine for back in the day. In addition to their floating vibrating brush roll, as well as headlight and all that kind of great stuff. So Singer was offering a really interesting machine at the same time as people like Hoover and Eureka, but these machines were particularly famous with their lightweight design in the handle. Essentially, instead of having one singular, you'd have this A-frame, which they would carry into the last of this particular twin fan till about the early 80s, as I recall. So now this is one of the earlier of their twin fan models, so it still had a metal base, so it's quite a bit heavier than their later variants, but still very rugged. Their later variants, of course, had plastic, as well as other interesting features, but this one's a particular rare machine. You don't see many of these. I know I said that it was more uncommon than rare, but they are not as prevalent as one would like them to be. In fact, when it came to finding any information out about these machines, the only thing I had to go off of was a couple of older posts on Vacuum Land, as well as one single article which came out of a Singer sewing machine catalog from 1969, and I'll show a picture of that right here. Now, the story of how I got this vacuum cleaner kind of goes back to about 5 or 6 years ago, at a time when famed vacuum collector Kyle Critchbaum was getting rid of a bunch of his stuff, and this was one of the things that he was getting rid of, and I thankfully was able to make a deal on this, as well as another Eureka and a Westinghouse Convertivac that we'll take a look at eventually. But this was a really fun machine that I was able to get from him. Of course, in terms of shipping, it was pretty lightweight and came in a very long box, so unfortunately this does not really come apart very easily. But either way, it's a really cool machine. I really like having it. This predates what was considered the Power Master series, which would later essentially just take this whole design and just put Power Master and, you know, wood trimming and different things They'd have the Power Master, the Silver Power Master, and the Golden Power Master, which we'll get into more as we look at them. I do have examples of each of those, so we'll take a look at that eventually. But for now, we kind of have this dark brown tan color with white, and if we all zoom in right here, you'll see the Singer logo, which is really cool because it does have the lady at her sewing machine, which I always love that logo. It carried over from the original S series, so very cool to see that. So, well, let's get on to our run demo and see how this thing grooms the carpet. All right, so in addition to all the other features that we discussed, I did mention that this is a 2-speed machine. Of course, 1 speed being for doing your floors, as well as another for all the attachments. Unfortunately, attachments for these uprights are incredibly rare, and I unfortunately did not get them with it, but that is what we have, and I will demonstrate the 2 speeds for you guys as well. So let's get to it. So that's your higher speed. And that would have been your lower speed. So, and that will conclude our run demo on the 1969 Singer Model U-43. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little video on the Model U-43. It is certainly a really cool machine, and I do love taking a look at it. You know, I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it over the years, just because, well, the colors kind of blended in with other things, but it's certainly one that I love having, and it has a great story. It is a really cool machine. Of course, Kyle, if you're watching, thank you again for bestowing it upon me. I am very appreciative of it, and it certainly has a good home in my collection. So if you guys have any other questions, of course, leave them down in the comments. I read all of them. I will like and comment on anything. So if you have any questions, of course, I will answer them, and we'll go from there. And then we'll see you in the next one. So y'all have a good week.